I have to be honest with you, when I first looked at the source list for today, I thought there had been some kind of, I don't know, filing error.
Yeah.
I actually refreshed the page just to make sure I was in the right folder.
It is a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it?
Mixed bag is generous. We've got this stack of dry academic papers on English grammar.
Stative versus dynamic verbs, yeah.
Right. Then an ESL lesson plan about relationship jealousy and checking your partner's phone.
Okay.
And to top it all off, a very angry, very specific internet forum thread from 2009 about heart rate monitors in middle school gym class.
On the surface, it really does look like a mess. You've got syntax, romance, and gym class.
Right, but you're assuring me there's a red thread here connecting verb conjugation to middle school gym paranoia.
There absolutely is, and it's actually a pretty profound connection.
Okay.
It's all about the difference between states and actions.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Well, it's about the tension between what's happening right now, temporary action, and how that gets recorded, how it gets labeled.
And turned into something permanent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A permanent trait. We're going to look at how we process that in our own heads with grammar, how it causes fights in relationships, and
Then what?
finally, how it creates this massive anxiety when technology starts tracking us.
So we're basically going from I'm loving it to Big Brother is watching you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the scary part is the error we make in our grammar is the exact same error an insurance company might make with your data.
Okay, that is a hook. Let's get into it.
Let's start with the basics. The internal world. We have this one source in English with Love, which talks about the vocabulary of emotion.
Right.
And it makes this really interesting point that formal English is, well, it's terrible at describing how we actually feel.
I noticed that. I had that example of driving. If you're in a car with someone going, like 100 miles an hour, you don't scream, please decelerate the vehicle.
Would sound like a robot. You scream, slow down.
Because emotions are primal, right? We need language that feels physical.
Exactly. And that's why English speakers are so addicted to phrasal verbs, those little two-word combinations. Crack up, freak out, stir up.
They're metaphors.
They are. They aren't just words. They're metaphors for physical processes.
Stir up was the one that really stuck with me. It sort of implies the emotion was already there, doesn't it? Like sediment at the bottom of a pond.
Right. You don't create trouble. You stir up trouble.
Yeah.
It suggests the anxiety or the resentment was just sitting there, dormant.
And then something comes along and agitates it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The emotion isn't new. It's just been disturbed. It's a whole psychological model hidden in a simple verb.
And then you've got freak out, which the source lists as like one of the most versatile terms in the language. I feel like I use that one 5 times a day.
Oh, it is. You can freak out because of a spider, or you can freak out because you lost your job. But the core meaning is always the same.
A loss of control.
A loss of control. Whether it's fear or anger, freaking out means the emotion has just hijacked the driver's seat.
It's interesting that we see emotions as something that happens to us. We don't do the emotion. The emotion breaks us, like cracking up.
Yeah.
You're composed, and then snap, you're laughing.
Or taking it out on someone. That's another big one in the material. Pure psychology.
Yeah.
You have this internal pressure. Say your boss yelled at you, and you physically extract it, and you place it onto someone else.
Usually someone safe.
A partner, yeah.
Or the dog.
Yeah. Hopefully not the dog. But it shows we think of our feelings as these dynamic, moving forces. They bubble up, they crack the surface, they get transferred.
Which brings us to the green-eyed monster.
The ultimate idiom for jealousy.
And the study cat source traces this one all the way back to Shakespeare, right?
Othello. Iago calls jealousy the green-eyed monster, which doth mock the meat it feeds on.
Which is such a visceral image. It's not just, I feel envious. It's, there's a creature eating me.
And the color greenback in the ancient world, they thought jealousy was caused by an overproduction of bile.
No way.
Yeah, so you would literally look sickly and green.
So again, we're turning a state of mind into a physical symptom. We're trying to make the abstract concrete.
And that is exactly where we run into the trap, the grammatical trap.
Okay, this is the pivot to the heavy research. Your English Pal and IAR papers on stative and dynamic verbs.
Right, because while we feel emotions as these moving, dynamic things, the rules of English grammar try to force them into these static boxes. This is the war between stative and dynamic.
I vaguely remember this from school, but break it down for us, for anyone who hasn't diagrammed a sentence in 20 years.
It's actually pretty binary. You have dynamic verbs. These are actions: run, jump, eat, text, fight.
Things with a start and an end.
Right. And because they happen over time, you can be in the middle of them. You can say, I am running.
The continuous form, the
Exactly. But then you have stative verbs. These describe a state of being, knowing, believing, owning, loving. According to the strict rules, these cannot be continuous. You either know the answer or you don't. You can't be in the middle of knowing it. Right. You can't say, I am knowing the answer.
You'd sound crazy. Or, I am owning this car.
It's just, I own this car. It's a fact, not a process. It's a static truth about you.
But, and this is the big but, we break this rule all the time.
All the time.
I mean, the biggest fast food slogan in history is, I'm lovin' it. Love is a stative verb. By the book, that sentence is wrong. It should just be, I love it.
And that's why the slogan works.
Yes.
This is the key insight from the advanced language practice source. When native speakers deliberately break this rule, when they use a stative verb with an ing,
They're doing it on purpose.
they're doing it to signal that the feeling is temporary.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Well, think about it. If I say, I love hamburgers, that's a fact about my personality. It's true today. It'll probably be true tomorrow. It's a static trait.
Right, it's on your bio.
But if I'm eating a burger right now and I say, man, I am loving this, I'm turning that permanent love into a temporary dynamic experience.
You're saying, right now, in this moment, I am engaging in the act of enjoyment.
Exactly. So the grammar shift changes it from this is who I am to this is what I'm doing right now.
The ing puts boundaries around it.
It says, this starts now and it ends later.
The source used that great example of being noisy.
Yes. Jill is noisy versus Jill is being noisy.
If I say Jill is noisy, I'm judging her character. I'm saying she's a loud person permanently.
But if I say Jill is being noisy,
I'm just describing her behavior in this moment. She might be a quiet person usually, but right now she's banging pots and pans.
and that distinction,
That's what saves relationships.
I see where you're going. The lesson plan about the jealous couple, Sarah and Mike.
It's a scripted dialogue from an ESL textbook, but it actually plays out like a masterclass in this specific grammar rule.
It really does.
So let's look at the scene. Mike is on the couch. He's smiling at his phone. Sarah, his partner, sees this. Her green-eyed monster wakes up. She asks, "Who are you texting?"
Note the grammar. Who are you texting? Dynamic action. She's catching him in the act.
Right. And Mike says, "I'm trying to buy tickets." Also dynamic, but Sarah keeps pushing. She gets suspicious. And Mike drops the line that connects everything. He says, "You are being paranoid."
Stop right there. That is the critical difference. You are being paranoid, not you are paranoid.
If he'd said, "You are paranoid," he's using the verb to be as a state of definition. He's labeling her.
He's saying paranoia is a permanent part of her personality. You are a paranoid person. That is a fight starter.
An attack on her identity.
Exactly.
But by adding the ing, by saying you are being paranoid, he shifts it to the dynamic. He's saying, usually you're sane and rational, but in this specific moment, you are acting in a paranoid way.
It makes the behavior temporary. It implies she can stop.
It separates the sin from the sinner. It gives her an off-ramp. And if you notice in the script, she actually takes it. She calms down and admits, "I guess I'm just taking it out on you."
She switches back to the phrasal verb.
She does. She acknowledges the temporary action. So the grammar literally de-escalated the fight.
It creates a safe space to have a bad moment without becoming a bad person.
But here's the problem. Humans are very good at this nuance. We get the difference between I am being lazy today and I am a lazy person.
Computers, not so much.
And this is the perfect transition to that 2009 Slashdot thread, heart monitors in middle school gym class.
It's amazing how prophetic this thread is.
Yeah.
We're reading comments from, over 15 years ago, and they sound like they could have been written this morning.
So set the context. It's 2009, wearable tech is barely a thing. And a parent writes in freaking out because their kid's school is forcing them to buy a heart rate monitor strap for gym.
And the parent's fear isn't the cost, it's the data. They call it a tinfoil hat concern. But they are worried that the heart rate data, the spikes, the arrhythmias, the lazy days,
will be archived, they write. Will this be used for or against them down the road? Specifically, will insurance companies look at a 7th grade gym file and say pre-existing condition?
and this is the exact same conflict as you are being paranoid versus you are paranoid.
How so? Connect the dots for us.
Well, a heart rate is the ultimate dynamic action. It fluctuates constantly. You run, it goes up. You get scared, it goes up.
I am having a high heart rate right now.
Exactly. But the database creates a record, and a record is stative. It's static. If you have a high heart rate recorded in a file and an algorithm looks at it 10 years later, it doesn't see context. It doesn't see he was running hard for a
It
grade.
just sees high heart rate.
It turns I am being active into I am hypertensive.
It collapses the dynamic action into a permanent label.
And that's what the parent was afraid of. They were afraid that a momentary physical state would become a permanent digital trait.
The comments in this thread are wild, by the way. You have the get over it crowd who just think this parent is insane.
Fat people are the new terrorists. That was a real comment.
Cynical but funny, and then nostalgia for dangerous playground equipment. What was wrong with stainless steel slides that burned your legs?
The argument from that side is just, it's a tool. It's to make sure the kids aren't slacking off. They're seeing the monitor as a dynamic tool for the now.
Just run faster, kid.
Right.
But then you have the other side, the people who validate the fear. And there was one comment from a user named Bruce Perrins that just stopped me in my tracks.
That was the reality check.
He shared a personal story. He was denied family medical coverage, not because anyone was sick, but because his child had been tested for a urinary tract infection once.
The test came back negative. The child didn't even have the infection.
But the insurance company saw the record of the test and said, investigation of kidney disease denied.
That is the horror story. The mere existence of the data point, the record that an action took place, was interpreted as a permanent state of illness.
It's like Mike saying to Sarah, you checked my phone once, therefore you are a paranoid person forever.
And in the digital world, there's no Mike to say, hey, you're just being crazy right now. There's just the algorithm.
One commenter made a brilliant point about this. He said, the problem is that electronic records are made automatically in a medium that is extremely easy to transmit, but very hard to contextualize.
Context is the ing. Context is the right now. Data strips all that away.
It's just wild that back in 2009, they were worried about simple heart rate straps. And now
we all voluntarily wear watches that track our sleep, our oxygen, our steps, our location.
Yeah.
And we feed all that dynamic data into these massive static profiles.
We are voluntarily building the permanent record that parent was so terrified of.
We're giving them the ammo to turn our verbs into nouns.
That's a great way to put it. So if we look at this whole stack, the grammar, the relationships, the text, what's the lesson? What do we do with this?
I think the lesson is about what I'd call grammatical hygiene.
I like it. Explain.
In your own head and in your relationships, you have to fight to keep the stative and the dynamic separate. When you fail at something, don't say, I am a failure.
Use the grammar.
Say, I am failing at this right now. Give yourself the ing.
Protect your identity from your temporary actions.
And do the same for the people around you, like Mike did. Don't label your partner based on one bad day. Recognize they are just being difficult.
But what about the external world, the data world?
That's harder.
Yeah.
Because we don't control that grammar. The systems we've built are designed to turn actions into states. They want to categorize us. They want to turn acting into being.
So we have to be the ones to add the context back in.
We have to be aware of it. We have to know that the record isn't the reality. Just because the database says you're a risk or a text message looks suspicious doesn't mean it's the whole truth.
It connects back to that very first source. The In English with Love article said we use phrasal verbs because formal language feels like a robot.
Yes.
Maybe the danger is that we're building a world that only speaks formal language. A world that sees decelerate the vehicle instead of, whoa, slow down. A world that sees data points instead of feelings.
That's a powerful connection. We are losing the messy, human, temporary nature of being in favor of the clean, permanent nature of data.
It makes me want to go out and just be inconsistent for a while, just to confuse the algorithm.
Oh, stir up some trouble.
I might just do that.
Just don't take it out on the dog.
No kicking the dog.
Before we wrap, there's one last thing to chew on. We talked about how Shakespeare defined jealousy as the green-eyed monster.
Yeah.
Monsters are usually permanent, right? They are what they are. A dragon is a dragon, doesn't wake up one day and decide it's going to be a butterfly.
Right.
But humans, we change, we evolve, we have moods, we have phases.
We're dynamic.
And if we let our data define us, if we let the record become the reality, we are essentially turning ourselves into monsters. Fixed, predictable, scary.
We lose our humanity when we lose our ability to change states.
Exactly. So for the listener today, here's the question. Are you a noun or are you a verb? Are you a static image or are you moving?
And who's holding the camera?
That's the deep dive.
Thanks for listening. Keep moving.
See you next time.